They're calling it the eighth world wonder, an astounding 35 stories tall, a marvel of engineering, combining never-before-seen audio and visuals using beamforming technology and complicated math to bring this incredible structure to life. At a massive 366 feet tall and 516 feet wide, it holds the record for the largest spherical structure in the world, with nearly 20,000 seats on 9 different levels, boasting the largest LED screen to ever exist. The spectacular venue is not only designed to host concerts, but also award shows, as well as endless entertainment purposes, as the spherical sky's the limit when it comes to the level of immersion the sphere is capable of. And I got to see it for myself. Hey guys, it's Desh. I'm an indie music artist, and I consider myself a professional concert goer. I've been going to live shows for as long as I can remember, from seeing local bands at hole-in-the-wall clubs to seeing major artists at both indoor and outdoor concerts and music festivals, in addition to playing a ton of venues myself. I thought I'd seen it all, but nothing could have prepared me for what I witnessed live in Las Vegas at the Sphere. I recently saw U2 ACHTUNG BABY, and let me tell you, it was an experience. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my experience at the Sphere, as well as giving an honest review of the U2 concert ACHTUNG BABY, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm going to highlight the good, the not so good, and give some pros and cons and tips for attending a show at the Sphere. And I'll definitely be covering a few hiccups along the way that you might want to avoid. The entry into the Sphere was a little chaotic. People cutting in line, people unsure where to go. There were signs and a clear line for VIPs versus general admission and other ticket holders, but it was a little like herding cattle. Right from the start, the venue was cool. Just going up the escalator and seeing these giant futuristic art pieces hanging from the ceiling, you could tell they put a lot of effort into setting the scene even before the show itself. It was a pretty cool bar inside as well that had some awesome mathematical equations along the edge that just gave it a really cool look. We got there with plenty of time to spare, but it did take us a good 15 to 20 minutes just to get into the Sphere itself and find our seats. That being said, once we sat down, it was about 7:45. The show started at 8. So even though I wanted to stand in line for merch or maybe wanted to get a snack or a drink, I didn't do anything because I didn't want to miss the beginning. Now, have experiencing this myself, I have to say, trust me, you have time. The show ended up not starting till after 9, over an hour late. So trust me, you have plenty of time to find your seat, use the bathroom, check out the venue, shop for merch, buy a snack or a drink or some food, and get comfortable. Don't stress, you've got time. There wasn't an opening band, but there was a DJ who started driving through the crowd on the lower level in an LED car, playing hits like Psycho Killer by Talking Heads and Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, while people were still entering the Sphere and finding their seats. Although U2 is one of those universal bands that has fans of all ages, I'd say the majority of the crowd were about Bono's age, and I'd say most of them seemed to enjoy the pre-show. We had middle tickets, close enough to see the stage, but back far enough to really witness the giant LED screen in action and experience the Sphere and all it had to offer. I mean, that's what we're there for, right? The giant screen is what sets the Sphere apart from any other concert or music venue. U2 is a fantastic band. I'm a big fan and I've seen them live before. However, I was curious to see how a band as massively successful as U2 would utilize such a unique experience to help bring their music to life in an even more immersive way than ever before. Now, to say the opening was cool is an understatement. We were pretty blown away right from the start. In the beginning, you feel as if you're enclosed in a giant industrial-looking structure. You glance up and a dove resting on a ledge lifts and flies across the sky. Then as the opening song begins, the most epic imagery occurs when you see the walls around you slowly begin to crumble, revealing a static white noise screen behind it. It's hard to explain. The footage doesn't even do it justice, but let me tell you, it's an insanely cool effect. And it lets you know you're about to witness something spectacular. And let me tell you, the audience was hyped. You could feel the energy in the arena. Everyone was excited. We knew we were about to share an incredible experience together. The next imagery was mind-blowing as well. There was this one effect where it felt like the ceiling was coming down on top of you, and another had so much going on around you, it felt like an absolute mind. I don't know how else to word it. I'm telling you, this technology is like nothing you've ever seen before. Jaw-dropping to say the least. The atmosphere at the Sphere is really unique. It feels both massive yet intimate at the same time. I will note the first third of the show is definitely the one everyone's going to be talking about. They absolutely started the show with a bang and set the bar so high for the rest of the night, perhaps it was hard to live up after such a gallant opening. But more on that in a bit. Now, the thing to note about the Sphere is they're saying there are no bad seats in the house, which is partially true due to how massive the screen is. However, I still have to say where you sit does matter. Remember, the screen is not actually 360 degrees, but closer to 180 degrees. So just like like in a movie theater, if you're too close to the screen, you're going to have to crank your neck the entire time to view it above you. Or if you're too far to the side, you won't be able to get the same immersive effect you would if you were more in the center. Another thing to keep in mind, just like at most concerts, not everyone is going to stay in their seats, especially if they're really into it. If people in front of you end up standing during the show, you might have to stand as well to see around them, even with the tiered seating, especially if you're short like me. And keep in mind, it's going to be a long night between all the walking to find your seats, possibly standing for the entire show, and perhaps even walking to and from the venue if you did so like we did. This is a basic tip that applies to any concert you go to, but keep this in mind. So I suggest wearing some comfortable shoes so you don't end up hating yourself on a night you're supposed to be enjoying yourself. Now, this is the thing that probably sets the Sphere apart from other concert venues the most. U2 has been around for decades. They're one of the most successful bands in the world, and with Bono's charisma and stage presence, this hardly applies to them. But in general, I'd imagine the screen of this size would take some of the pressure off the performers, as it's really a show in itself. As opposed to a small venue where the audience is right in front of the artist with pretty much nothing to entertain them but the performers themselves, at the Sphere, there is so much going on. It's really like nothing we've ever experienced when it comes to combining music and visual effects. It felt like you were watching a music video come to life right before your eyes. What's amazing is how much freedom the artists have with the Sphere and all its technology in creating really immersive imagery that relates to a song, an album, a tour theme, a specific venue or location. And U2 definitely did that with beautiful imagery, intense themes, and even multiple nods to Vegas, including one where you felt like you were on the outside of the Sphere watching the strip being built one building at a time. Then it was like we were traveling back in time to the very beginning as we got to watch it all being stripped away one building at a time in the order it was built, revealing how Vegas looked 100 years ago. And it was a really cool effect. Bono noted Las Vegas means the meadows and explained he liked the idea of bringing it back to where it all started. Now, the performance that U2 put on was absolutely amazing. They're an incredible band, no doubt about it. You could tell they're getting a little older, but the heart of the band is still very much intact. Bono was funny and engaging. He's got so much charisma. He is such a great showman. He did look a little tired at times, shying away from some of the high notes and letting the audience participate more often than not. But to be fair, again, I've been to so many concerts and I have seen a ton of artists do this, even young ones. It's likely not only a way to help preserve their vocal cords, especially if you have a range like Bono's and you're singing night after night, although most of us would probably rather hear Bono sing than the drunk off-key person next to us. But it's still always a great way to get the audience involved, get the crowd hyped, get them to participate, and a lot of the time it just adds to the live experience, so there's no complaints here. Bono also did quite a bit of singing off time, which I'm pretty sure was intentional. And again, it's another thing I've seen a lot of artists do. I'm sure it's just a way for them to keep the song fresh after singing the same ones night after night for months at a time. But unless they're really changing it up to like a completely alternate version, live version, something like that, I feel like it just kind of throws the audience off. Most people in the crowd know every word by heart, know the melody by heart, and they want to sing along with the singer live while they're at the concert. And when the singer kind of throws a curveball and sings the chorus to a major hit off time, it just kind of throws the vibe off. It definitely didn't ruin their performance or anything. I just noticed that it was happening pretty often, and I thought if anything, it was a little distracting and didn't really add anything. So I could have done without it, but again, it's Bono. He's an amazing singer. If he wants to change it up, it's fine. Speaking of Bono, speaking to the crowd in the way that he does, you can just tell he has a great sense of humor. He even took a moment to whisper into the mic to showcase how you could hear every word crystal clear, even way up in the stands. And you got a sense that the band just seemed so grateful to be where they are and to be there with us in the moment in Vegas. Bono shared some stories behind some of the songs, which always makes a concert memorable in my opinion. Unfortunately, Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer for U2, couldn't join due to health issues, and in a heartfelt message, the band made it known how terribly he was missed. But they also gave props to the drummer filling in for him, Fran Vandenberg, who was a student of Larry's and a big fan of the band, who's obviously living the dream, getting to fill in for his idol, for his mentor. U2 was amazing live, as always. And even if they hadn't been there live in the flesh, it still would have been a spectacular show. Due to the vast immersion of the screen at the Sphere and all it's capable of delivering when it comes to tingling all the senses. If you didn't know, know, the seats in the Sphere can even rumble and move like a giant simulator. And it has several other 4D effects, including wind and sense. This combined with the groundbreaking spatialized audio make for a truly immersive experience like nothing else, which now makes me want to see the other show going on at the Sphere right now, Postcard from Earth, a film which is supposed to be part history of our planet, part sci-fi, and is said to incorporate all the features the Sphere has to offer. I think in a way, this sort of experience can really capture an artist's vision long after they're gone, preserving their legacy forever. And I think it'd be really cool to see that done for artists that are no longer with us, like Jimi Hendrix, for example, or imagine a really vivid showcase of Imagine by John Lennon. The possibilities at the Sphere are honestly endless, and being there in person, you could really get a sense of that. Now let's talk about the second half of the show. The second half of the concert was a little lackluster in my opinion. The band performed well, no doubt, but everyone attending the show didn't come for a normal concert. The exciting factor of it all is the Sphere itself, and it was highly underutilized the entire second half. There were several songs where it was just the band performing on the rather small stage with not even the close-up camera featured on the giant LED screen, which I found odd since they had used it several times in the first third of the show, and the footage was amazing quality. It really felt like you were right in front of them, no matter where you were sitting. I'm not sure if there were technical difficulties or it was a budget issue, but I just found it strange that the middle felt so underwhelming compared to the opening of the show. U2 has been together so long, and they have a ton of footage of them over the decades, performing live on tour, at award shows, in the recording studio, even footage of them as young kids when they first started playing together. I think it would have been really cool to showcase some of that footage or photos like that on the giant screen, but really anything to keep it from feeling like just another normal concert. This is the Sphere in Las Vegas. So many people that maybe wouldn't go to a normal concert are paying money to not just see an amazing band like U2 perform, but they really want to see the Sphere and all it has to offer. They want to see the giant LED screen in action. And again, I don't think it took away from the performance. I think it only added to it. And it was really a bummer not to see it utilized pretty much at all in the entire second portion. As I mentioned, the stage itself is pretty small, but it is very cool, and it was designed by Brian Eno. But again, especially with a full drum kit on stage, and in comparison to the giant LED screen, you could tell there really wasn't a ton of room for the band to move around on it. And this is another reason why I think in the second half, it would have helped to really keep people engaged if there was literally anything on the screen during that time. Unfortunately, I think this is where the momentum of the show really slowed down a bit. But in the third and final act, it did pick up again, so let's get into that. Luckily, in the third act, the band was able to reignite the energy once more, utilizing the giant screen yet again. Not as much as they did in the first part, but definitely more than the second. This third portion, however, featured mostly stagnant images, when again, compared to the first part and the opening of the show, it was so mind-blowing. There was so much going on. You really wanted more of that. So it was a little disappointing, but honestly, again, it was so much better than the second half, just having something on the screen, utilizing the screen in any way that it felt like you were ending on a good note. There was a really cool part towards the end when the screen featured over 120 endangered species in Nevada. One of the things Bono touched on during the show was how the word love can be so overused, but he mentioned it's truly the love for each other and the band that keeps them together after all of these years. At the end of the show, there was this touching moment where he went up and hugged The Edge and Adam Clayton, and it sounds cheesy, but you could really feel the love in the room. U2 did do an encore, including hits like Vertigo, Beautiful Day, and several others, which I think was something the audience was craving. And it was the right move, as so many people come to a concert to hear the hits. One of my biggest complaints with the show, arguably you knew so going in, but the fact that it focused on just one album by U2 when they have so many amazing albums, so much material. They really have something for everyone, and they have so many fans that are fans of all these different songs, all these different albums. I really think it was a miss to just focus on Achtung Baby and not do a little bit of everything they have in their body of work. U2 is so iconic. Even something like the history of U2, where they touched on all the highlights throughout the years, would have been a really cool thing to do, especially in Vegas. Again, featuring old footage, old photos, memorable moments, I think could have utilized the Sphere even more and made it an even more memorable show. Now, even though the screen wasn't utilized the entire time, it was still marvelous to see, and you can tell this is just the cusp of what's to come in the entertainment industry and live music. The technology is truly surreal. It's visually captivating. It doesn't take away from the performance, in my opinion, but it only adds to the experience, making it truly memorable. And it gives the artist such freedom to bring their music to life in a whole new way. And now after seeing U2 UV, I can only imagine what other artists would do if they had a show at the Sphere. I'm picturing Taylor Swift with the Eras Tour, or my favorite band, the Rolling Stones. I am a huge Stones fan. And their video for Angry off the newest album, Hackney Diamonds, where they're coming out of the billboards and it's footage from over the years. I think something like that would have been really cool to see at the Sphere. And I would have loved to see more of U2 and their whole iconic history, big moments that you want to relive and remember. Something like that I think would have been so epic. The band was surprisingly less political than I thought they'd be, which I honestly think was a good thing. For the same reason no one likes the relative at Thanksgiving to bring up religion or politics. Most of us are just there to have a good time, to vibe to the music, and enjoy the concert. I watched this one interview with U2 put on by Apple Music where Bono described this one shot of the surrender flag, a concept he worked on with an Irish artist, which was made in a game engine at a level never achieved before. The temperature during the concert was perfect. Not too cold, not too hot. It didn't smell like a bunch of sweaty bodies or anything, despite how many people there were inside. And as someone who's always cold, I was surprisingly comfortable the entire show. The concessions were pretty neat also. I ended up buying a water bottle for I think $8, but it was self-checkout where you weigh your items and scan your credit card, making it efficient and very convenient. The fact that you can't see any speakers or anything in the Sphere is just a testament to how well thought out the design and structure of the Sphere is. The attention to detail and somehow figuring out how to camouflage things like this and incorporate it into the design is pretty amazing. 164,000 speakers with 580,000 square foot of LED panels. The Exosphere is made of 1.2 million pucks, each containing 48 individual LED lights that can display 256 million different colors with a wraparound screen of 16,000 by 16,000 resolution. It cost about $2.3 billion and the interior frame alone weighs 730 tons. Yeah, it's massive. Now, I want to go over some bonus tips if you're thinking about attending a show at the Sphere and cover some things you may not have thought of. At the end of the show, we took the stairs down to get back outside of the venue and avoided the escalators because it looked super busy. And we ended up getting out 20 minutes before the other people in our group that used the escalator. We were also staying at the Horseshoe, and once outside, it was just like at the beginning when we first entered and we were surrounded by a ton of people. It felt like you were a bunch of sardines. Then we saw the Uber line, which was backed up so far. It was just a solid line of cars backed all the way up to where our hotel was. If you're up for walking to and from your hotel, if you're staying on the Strip, save the money, save the time. If you don't mind walking, unless you duck out early, you're probably going to be waiting a while for an Uber. Another great tip, if you're looking to eat dinner somewhere near the Sphere before the concert, we made reservations at Brera, an Italian restaurant at the Venetian, the same hotel as the Sphere. It's up the escalator in the garden area, right across from the entrance to the Sphere, and the ambiance was great. The service was great. The food and drinks were great. I highly recommend it. To wrap it up, if you're a fan of U2 in any capacity, I'd say it's absolutely worth going to see them live at the Sphere. If you're local to Vegas or you're staying in Vegas and you're just looking for a great show and something to do, you will not be disappointed. Now, if this is something that's going to perhaps break the bank for you, or you're not the biggest U2 fan, perhaps you want to wait and see what's next for the Sphere, and it's possible another band or artist might utilize the Sphere a little bit more than U2 did. However, if you like to experience these things while everyone's talking about it, while it's fresh, while it's new, if you're curious at all about this amazing technology and you want to experience the Sphere for yourself, I'd say definitely check it out. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, please like, comment, and share with someone that might find it interesting. And let me know in the comments who you would like to see perform at the Sphere next. Who do you think would really utilize it and all its potential with the giant LED screen and all the effects? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. And if you want to check out my original music, I'll go ahead and link that down below as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.